Ethan woke me up because he thought someone had come inside. Not knocked, not walked past. Inside. He grabbed my shoulder hard enough to hurt and whispered, "I heard the door." I remember being half asleep, annoyed more than anything. The storm had been getting worse for hours, and the whole cabin was creaking nonstop. It made sense that something sounded like a door. "It's just the wind," I told him, but he shook his head. "No, it opened, and then it closed." That was the first moment something felt off. We were staying at his family's cabin up in the mountains. Big place, old wood, surrounded by trees in every direction. The kind of place that feels isolated even in good weather. That night, we were completely cut off. The snowstorm had rolled in fast, roads buried, no signal, no way out until morning. At first, it was actually nice. Fire going, low lights, just the sound of wind outside. Then, around midnight, we heard someone cough. It came from outside, close. Not distant through the trees, close to the cabin. A dry, rough cough, like someone standing in the cold too long. We both heard it. We looked at each other immediately. Ethan said, "Did you?" I heard it. We waited. Nothing. Then it came again, short, sharp, right outside. We grabbed a flashlight and checked every window. Nothing, just snow. Thick, blowing sideways under the porch light. No footprints, no shape, no movement. We even opened the back door for a second, just enough to look. No one. Just cold air and wind. We locked everything again. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Maybe an hour later, Ethan woke me up. That's when he said he heard the door. I got up this time. We checked everything. Front door, locked. Back door, locked. Windows, sealed. Nothing out of place. I even checked the handle myself. Didn't budge. We stood there for a while in silence, both listening. Only the storm. I was the last one awake. Ethan went back to sleep, or at least pretended to. I stayed in the living room, staring at the front door for longer than I want to admit. I don't know why. It just felt like something wasn't right about it. Eventually, I got up to double check it one more time. And that's when I saw it. The door wasn't closed all the way. Not wide open, just slightly off the frame. Barely noticeable unless you were looking directly at it. I know for a fact we locked it. I remember pulling it, hearing it click. But now, it was just not. I walked over slowly and pushed it shut again. Locked it. Then I stood there, hand still on the handle, listening. That's when the noise started. A loud hit from outside, against the wall. Not like something falling, not like a branch. It was deliberate. A solid, heavy thud. Then another. Different spot this time. Then another. It started moving around the cabin. Hit, pause, hit, pause. Each one against a different section of the wall. Too spaced out to be random, too controlled to be the wind. Ethan came out of the room, eyes wide. "You hear that?" I didn't answer. We both knew. It kept going, for minutes, then longer. We turned off all the lights except one. Didn't speak much, just listened. The hits weren't constant. They came in intervals, sometimes right next to us, sometimes further down the wall, like someone walking around the cabin, testing it. At one point, it stopped completely. Silence. Then, a slow drag, right across the wood. Long, rough, like something sharp being pulled along the wall. Ethan whispered, "Don't open anything." I wasn't planning to. We didn't sleep, not even for a second. Every noise felt closer than it should be. Every pause felt worse than the hits. Because in those quiet moments, It felt like whatever was out there was just standing still, listening back. Sometime before sunrise, it stopped. Completely. No wind, no hits, nothing. Just silence. We waited until there was light, real light. Then we went outside together. The snow had settled enough to see clearly, and that's when we saw the walls. Marks, deep ones. Long scratches carved into the wood. Not random, not scattered. They circled the cabin. Some were low, some higher than either of us could reach comfortably. And the front door had dents, like something had been hitting it. Not trying to break it, just hitting it, over and over. We didn't look for footprints for long. There were too many overlapping marks from the storm. Nothing clear, nothing we could follow. We packed in under 10 minutes. Didn't clean, didn't talk much, just left. On the drive down, Ethan said something I've been thinking about ever since. He said, "If it wanted in, it would have found a way." I asked him what he thought it was. He didn't answer. I don't think it was an animal, and I don't think it was random, because of one thing. It started with a cough, right outside, like someone trying to get our attention. And everything after that felt like it was meant to make sure it kept it. I moved into the cabin to be alone. That was the whole point. No neighbors in sight, no traffic, just trees, a dirt road, and enough silence to actually focus on work. I had just started a remote job, and this felt like the perfect reset. The first day went exactly how I expected. Quiet, cold, still, until someone knocked on my door. It was late afternoon, maybe around 4 p.m. The sun was already starting to drop behind the trees. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, there was a man standing there, smiling, too much. "Hey," he said, like we already knew each other. "You must be the new guy." I hesitated, then nodded. He introduced himself as Ryan, said he lived just down the trail, somewhere deeper in the woods. I hadn't seen any other cabins on the way in. At first, he seemed friendly, overly friendly, talking fast, asking a lot of questions. Where I moved from, what I did for work, how long I was planning to stay. Then he asked something that felt off. "Mind if I come in? I've never seen the inside of this place." I told him I was busy unpacking. He laughed like I was joking. "I can help. We can hang out a bit. Gets lonely out here." There was something about the way he said that. Not casual, more like insistent. I told him maybe another time. He didn't move, just stood there, still smiling. Then his eyes shifted, past me, into the cabin, like he was trying to memorize the layout. That's when I stepped outside, just enough to block his view. Told him I had a work call in a few minutes. That finally got him to leave. But even as he walked away, he kept looking back. I locked the door after that. Didn't think much of it, at least not consciously. But I noticed I was quieter the rest of the evening, listening more. Around 11 p.m., I heard something outside. At first, I thought it was just branches moving. Then I heard footsteps, slow, crunching on the gravel near the cabin. I turned off the lights and looked through the window. It was him, Ryan, standing near the edge of the trees, looking toward the cabin. I didn't move, didn't open the door. After a few seconds, he stepped closer, then closer, until he was just a few feet from the door. Then he knocked, softly. "Hey," he called. "You still up?" I didn't answer. He knocked again. "I was thinking we could start a fire. There's a good spot out in the woods. You should come." His tone was casual, like it was a normal suggestion, like it wasn't almost midnight. I stayed silent. After a pause, he leaned closer to the door. "I know you're in there." Still smiling, I could hear it in his voice. "I just want to show you something," he said. No explanation, just that. I stepped back slowly. My heart was pounding harder than it should. Something felt wrong. Not obviously dangerous, but wrong enough. Then, from somewhere deeper in the woods, a gunshot, loud, close, echoing through the trees. Everything went silent for a second. Then I heard movement, fast, running, coming toward the cabin. Ryan appeared in front of the door again, breathing hard. Hey, open up," he said quickly. "I think I got hit." His voice had changed, more urgent, more real. I hesitated. Instinctively, I stepped closer to the door. Then I saw it, under his jacket, the shape. A handgun, partially tucked, but visible when he moved. He noticed me looking. For a split second, his expression dropped. The smile was gone. That was enough. I backed away immediately and grabbed my phone, called the police, locked myself in the bathroom, didn't make a sound. I don't know how long he stayed outside. At some point, I heard the door handle move, then silence. The police arrived about 20 minutes later. They cleared the area. Then one of them knocked on the bathroom door and told me it was safe. They found him inside the cabin. He had gotten in through the back, the same door I thought I locked. They arrested him on the spot. No ID, no vehicle nearby, no cabin down the trail. What they did find was a handgun. One bullet had been fired. They never told me exactly what his plan was, but one of the officers said something that stuck with me. "If you had gone out there with him, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation." I left the next morning. Didn't even pack everything, just took what I could carry and drove. I still think about that moment sometimes, standing at the door, almost opening it, almost stepping outside, and how close I was to doing exactly what he wanted.
I knew something was wrong before I understood what it was. It started with a smell, not constant, just something I'd noticed the moment I walked into the house after work. A thick, sour, almost metallic smell, like something had been sitting out too long. At first, I assumed it was plumbing. The house was new to me. I'd only been living there for about 2 weeks. Old pipes, maybe something in the drains. But the strange part? Every time I tried to track it down, it was gone, like it didn't want to be found. I started checking everything. Trash, fridge, under the sink, even the vents. Nothing. And then, one evening, I noticed something else. The back glass door was unlocked. I remember standing there for a full minute, just staring at it. I always locked it, every night. It wasn't even a habit. I was obsessive about it. I checked the handle twice before going to bed. But that evening, it opened with no resistance. I told myself I probably forgot. That's what made sense. Still, I locked it again. And that night, I checked it 3 times. The smell came back the next day, stronger. By the end of the week, I stopped opening the back door entirely. I didn't like how it felt. Every time I walked past it, I had this quiet thought in the back of my head. Someone has been here. The night it happened, I woke up to a sound, a soft, irregular dripping. Water. I checked my phone. 2:17 a.m. The house was completely silent except for that sound. Drip. Pause. Drip. Coming from the kitchen. I stayed in bed for a moment, listening. Then I got up. Slowly. Carefully. As I stepped into the hallway, the smell hit me again. Stronger than ever. Not just sour this time. Rotten. Heavy. I reached the kitchen doorway and stopped. The light was on. I was sure I turned it off before going to bed. I didn't enter right away. I just stood there, looking, trying to understand what I was seeing. The sink was full, not with dishes, with something else. Dark shapes, wet, uneven. It took me a few seconds to process it. Then I realized they were pieces of animals, cut, torn, stuffed into the sink, blood diluted with water, slowly dripping toward the drain. That was the sound I heard. And then I heard something else. Movement. Inside the kitchen. A shift. A subtle scrape. Someone was there. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. I just listened. Then the garbage disposal turned on. Loud. Violent. Grinding. The sound filled the house. And beneath it, I could hear movement. Someone standing at the sink, trying to force everything down. That's when it became real. I wasn't alone. I stepped back, slowly, every step controlled. I went upstairs without making a sound, closed the bedroom door quietly, locked it. Then I called the police, whispering, trying not to be heard over the noise downstairs. The operator told me to stay on the line, stay quiet, wait. The disposal kept running, then stopped. Then silence. A minute passed, maybe 2. Then I heard footsteps, moving through the kitchen, slow, calm, toward the back door. A soft click, the door opening, then closing, and nothing after that. The police arrived shortly after. They cleared the house, checked the area behind it. There was a line of trees leading into dense woods. No sign of him. But they found what he left behind. The sink, the drain, the pipes. They told me later he had been cutting up animal carcasses, large ones, deer most likely, using my kitchen, using the disposal to get rid of them. They think he had been coming in during the day, or when I wasn't home, using the back door, leaving before I returned. That smell? It wasn't a mystery. It was a warning. I moved out within a week. Didn't try to fix anything. Didn't go back after that. It's been years now. Different house. Different city. But sometimes, late at night, I smell it again. That same sour, rotting smell. And for a second, I'm back in that hallway, listening to something moving in my kitchen, while I stand there, trying to convince myself that I'm still alone.